The Night Train to Luminara. It was the kind of night that didn't quite feel real. The air was still, so still that even the leaves seemed to be holding their breath. The stars above hung in neat clusters, bright and watchful, like tiny lanterns strung up in the dark. And the moon was a perfect silver coin tonight, round and glowing, painting long pale shadows across the sleeping town. In one of those shadow-painted houses, a girl named Ilara lay wide awake. She had tried closing her eyes. She had tried counting her breaths, listening to the ticking clock, curling and uncurling her toes beneath the blanket. But something in the air felt different. Like the night was waiting for her. Like a story just about to be told. And then, she heard it. A sound, faint at first, so soft she wondered if she had imagined it. It was a low hum, steady and deep, like the sound of a giant cat purring somewhere far away. Then, layered over the hum, came a whistle. A long, sweet note that drifted through the air like a ribbon. It curled into her ears and wrapped around her mind, urging her to listen, to follow. Ilara pushed back her blanket, her feet touching the cool wooden floor. Her window overlooked the old railway tracks, tracks that had not been used in years. They were just two forgotten lines of steel, half buried in weeds and rust. At least, they usually were. But tonight they glowed. A silver light ran along their length, like moonlight trapped in metal, stretching out into the distance. And moving along those glowing tracks was a train. Not an ordinary train. Its carriages shimmered as if they were stitched from mist and moonlight. The windows glowed softly, some golden, some rosy pink, and the wheels turned without a sound, as though the train were gliding rather than rolling. On the front, above a great round lantern, was a name written in curling silver letters. The Luminara. Ilara didn't remember making a decision. But somehow she was no longer at her window. She was outside, her bare feet sinking into the cool grass, her night dress stirring in the soft wind. The air wrapped around her like silk, carrying with it the faint scent of something sweet. Vanilla, perhaps, or warm honey. The train slowed as it approached her. Its doors slid open with a long sigh. From the nearest carriage stepped a tall figure, dressed in a coat the color of midnight, its fabric speckled with tiny points of light, like he had plucked pieces of the night sky to wear. His beard caught the moonlight and gleamed faintly, as though brushed with stardust. "Good evening," he said, his voice low and warm, like a sip of tea on a winter's night. Right on time. Your seat's waiting. Ilara's brow furrowed. My seat. Of course, the man smiled, his eyes kind and knowing. No one boards the Luminara by accident. He held out his hand, and though she didn't quite remember deciding, she took it. Inside the train, the air was thick with quiet magic. It smelled faintly of old paper and vanilla, and something else. That deep, warm scent you only find in the corners of childhood memories. The seats were made of soft velvet, each one big enough to curl up in. The light inside was golden and calm, casting gentle shadows on the polished wood. On every table sat a small glowing sphere. They pulsed slowly, like tiny hearts beating in the same rhythm. The conductor placed one in Ilara's hands. "This," he said softly, "is your dream sphere. It will guide you tonight." Ilara held it carefully. It was warm, and when she peered inside, she thought she saw a flicker of movement. Herself, perhaps, younger, laughing, spinning in a field of dandelions. Before she could ask about it, the train gave a gentle shudder and began to move. The first place they visited was the lantern skies. The windows melted away into open air, and Ilara felt the cool night wind brushing her cheeks. They were gliding through a sky filled with floating lanterns, millions of them, drifting in slow, graceful dances. Each one glowed like a firefly, but when they came closer, Ilara saw that every lantern held something inside. A tiny, shimmering scene. One showed a man hugging someone he had missed for years. Another, a child taking her very first step. Another, a hand reaching out to help a stranger. "These," the conductor murmured, "are wishes made and set free. They drift until they find where they belong." A lantern floated close to her, and when it brushed her shoulder, she saw herself sitting under a tree with her grandmother, listening to stories until the sky turned pink. She smiled, and the lantern slowly floated upward, joining the rest, glowing even brighter. The second place was the moonlit ocean. The train slid onto a bridge of clear glass, stretching endlessly over dark water that shimmered with silver ripples. Beneath the surface, creatures moved slowly and gracefully. Jellyfish wearing crowns of light, turtles gliding with the patience of centuries, and far below, a whale with eyes as kind as the night. As the train passed, the whale sang, a low, rolling note that vibrated through Ilara's chest, settling deep inside her bones. "This place," the conductor said quietly, "holds every memory that has ever given you courage." Ilara touched her dream sphere. Its glow pulsed brighter in her hands. The third place was the harmonic forest. The train glided between trees so tall that their tops disappeared into the clouds. Their leaves glowed faintly green, and as the wind moved through them, they sang. Not quite music, not quite words. Something in between. A sound that seemed to tell her she was safe. That everything heavy could be put down for a while. This, the conductor whispered, is where passengers leave behind one heavy thing they no longer need. Elara didn't know how it happened, but when the train left the forest, she felt lighter. The quiet ache in her chest was gone. The conductor came to her seat. "We're almost there," he said gently. "Where is there?" she asked. He smiled, eyes twinkling. "The place you need. Not the place you think you want." The mist outside parted, and on a small hill stood herself. Not the Elara of tonight, but a much younger Elara. Knees muddy, hair tangled, eyes bright as the morning sun. The younger Elara laughed. A laugh so pure and light that it felt like the whole world was breathing in with her. She ran forward and pressed her small hands against the dream sphere in Elara's grip. The sphere dissolved into a warm golden light, spreading from her palms into her chest. The younger Elara faded into the glow, but the warmth remained.